What's up YouTube, it's your boy Nasher, welcome back to the channel. And as we continue the fallout from what happened last night at SummerSlam, in which if you guys have not checked out the result video, I recommend you guys check it out. Holy shit, it was one to remember. I can guarantee that it'll be one to remember. So if you guys haven't checked out that video, I recommend it. But with that being said, today's video I'm going to be showcasing to you guys my updated Blue Eyes White Dragon deck. I'm going to be doing a deck profile on it. I decided to update the deck a little bit solely because of the fact that I didn't realize it, but there's one card in here that is actually really good. It's a way to just win. It's a way to just win games, basically. And it's a pretty nasty card, but it's so fucking good. Like, it's so good. It just helps win games easily, just easily. But with that being said, hopefully you guys are ready for this deck profile. If you guys are, and you guys want to see more deck profiles in the future, excuse me, make sure you guys give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, turn on the notification bell, and follow me on all of my social media, including my Instagram, because I always post the deck lists on my Instagram. Links will be in the description below. And if you guys have any fan mail that you guys want to send me, my info will also be in the description as well. Let's get straight into it. First up, obviously you are running 3 copies of Blue Eyes White Dragon and 2 copies of Blue Eyes Alternative White Dragon. This is basically the bread and butter. This is the standard. If you're not running any of these 5 cards, you're not playing Blue Eyes. Just plain and simple. Blue Eyes White Dragon is like one of the most iconic cards in the game. You summon it out, and you can just go into your Xyz plays right then and there, or you can also go into your fusion plays depending on what your extra deck looks like. And to be fair, also by the way, shoutouts to Starbucks for the coffee. Yeah, they kind of made mine a little too sweet than normal. But that being said, not sponsored. But anyway, depending on what your extra deck looks like, the Blue Eyes White Dragon can be a menace to your opponent. Alternative White Dragon is just absolutely nuts. It's absolutely nuts. It can break boards easily just by popping one of your opponent's monsters. Obviously it can't attack, but if you're able to trigger his effect and then overlay him and Blue Eyes with let's say a Cypher Dragon or whatever, then you're pretty much just good to go from there, which is pretty cool. Next up, we have a single copy of Blue Eyes Jet Dragon, which is absolutely nuts. So the effect of this card reads: other cards you control cannot be shared by your opponent's card effects, and you can only use each of the following effects once per turn, and only activate them while Blue Eyes White Dragon is on your field or in your graveyard. If a card or cards is on the field is destroyed by battle or card effect, you can special summon this card from your graveyard. If it was there when the card was destroyed, or hand even if not. At the start of the damage step, if this card battles, you can target a card your opponent controls and return it to the hand. So it's basically a compulse. It's a compulse for the whole deck. It bounces pretty much any problematic cards that may be on the board back to your opponent's hand, and and depending on what it is, it could be easy for them to bring it back out onto the field, or it could be difficult to do so, which is pretty crazy. Not much else to say about it. And the funny thing is, I believe this also counts as Blue Eyes White Dragon. When being summoned off of the effects of True Light, which is pretty hilarious. Next up, we have a single copy of Galactic Spiral Dragon. This card is so stupid. The best way to bypass its banishing effect is by using the monster as exceeds material. So if you summon, let's say you overlay Spiral Dragon and let's say alternative White Dragon, and you make Cipher Dragon. You go up one notch into Full Armor Photon, and then go into Cipher Blade Dragon. You trigger Blade Dragon's effect, pitch the Spiral Dragon, and what do? You get to resummon it again, over and over and over again, just by using it as exceeds material. But the thing is, you don't have a whole lot of options when it comes to exceed summoning, so you definitely should be careful when using the card. But still, it's a pretty busted card to be honest. And the best part is that, and the crazy part is that the only way to special summon it from your hand or graveyard is if you have 2 or more light and or dark dragons on board. So if you have, let's say Blue Eyes Jet Dragon and let's say a Dark Dragon, which could literally be anything, and which could be literally anything at this point. You get to summon it and you get to summon it. But what's crazy is that you can make all the monsters you have level 8, which will help you go into your rank 8 plays, or it can also help you go into your synchro plays depending on what your synchro pool looks like for the most part, which is pretty cool. Next up, we have a single copy of Dragon Spirit of White. This card is absolutely crazy. This card is basically an MST. Unfortunately, it does not count as a Blue Eyes White Dragon, so you're not able to summon it off of True Light. But what's cool about this card is that, again, it's Spell and Trap. It's basically an MST, and not only that, you can also as a quick effect tribute this card, summon Blue Eyes White Dragon, and you're off to the races there, which is pretty nuts. Next up we have a single copy of Blue Eyes Solid Dragon. So if you guys don't know what this card does, the effect reads: if this card is normal special summon, you can target a face-up monster your opponent controls, negate its effects. So that effect right there, it's already an imperm. It's an imperm, which is not too bad. Not too bad. When your opponent activates a card or effect as a quick effect, you can shuffle this card from the field into the deck and special summon a Blue Eyes White Dragon from your deck. So basically, this gives you access to not only imperm one of your opponent's monsters, thus breaking their board, but you can also tag out Solid Dragon into a Blue Eyes White Dragon from your deck if you have one in your deck at all, because obviously you're going to be using your Blue Eyes White Dragons a lot to go into your fusions, your synchros, your exceeds. You're going to be going into them a lot just with Blue Eyes White Dragon. So if you have a copy of Blue Eyes in your deck, there you go. But you can also go into Blue Eyes Jet Dragon as well, which is even more hilarious. And then to round up all of the level 8 dragons that are in the deck, we have 2 copies of Nebula Dragon. Basically, all you get to do is trigger trigger its effect in the hand. Target any other monster, like say Blue Eyes White Dragon for the most part. Summon both in defense, and it's essentially a 1-card exceeds summon right there, which is absolutely nuts. There is another effect, but you're not using it at all because of the fact that the white stones that you are running in this deck, you don't want to add them to your hand. You add them to your hand. You want to discard them to get their effects off of the effects of the 2 Melody of Awakening Dragon, which I will get to that which I will get to the spells in a little bit. So again, you really don't want to go into them all that much anyway. So the second effect, if you guys don't know, reads: you can banish the card from your grave, target a level 4 light or dark dragon in your grave, add it to your hand, and until once per turn. So obviously, even if the white stones were level 4, you don't want to add them from your grave to your hand, because you want to discard them off of the effects of the 2 Melody of Awakening Dragon, which I will get to the spells in a bit. But still, Nebula Dragon is absolutely nuts. It's a 1 card. It's a 1 card Xyz. Not much else to say about that. Next up, we are running 2 copies of Dictator of D. That's what she said. Anyway, so Dictator of D reads: while you control a Blue Eyes monster, you can choose the attack targets for your opponent's attacks. Yeah, basically, let's say for example your opponent activated dimensional prison, dimensional barrier, and let's say they called Xyz, and you cannot Xyz summon this turn. If your opponent were to activate, or actually rather go into a attack, you can activate Dictator of D to redirect a attack from, let's say, your Blue Eyes White Dragon. So I'll say your Nebula Dragon, and you could just combo off from there really, really quickly, which is pretty cool. So it essentially becomes an anime style attack guidance armor, which is pretty hilarious. You can only use each of the following effects once per turn. You can send one Blue Eyes White Dragon from your hand or deck to the grave. Special summon this card from your hand. You can discard one Blue Eyes White Dragon or a card that mentions it. Target a Blue Eyes monster in your grave and special summon it. So it acts as a protection for your Blue Eyes White Dragon. It has a Cyber Dragon effect built in, and it also acts as a monster reborn for Blue Eyes White Dragon, which is nuts. Obviously, you're not going to be using Dictator D all that much, because you're going to be triggering its third effect to special summon Blue Eyes. But if you're able to stick it on board, and let's say you have, I'll say the Blue Eyes Alternative Ultimate Dragon. Let's say that, and your opponent were to attack Dictator of D. You can trigger Dictator's effect to redirect the attack to your Blue Eyes Alternative Ultimate Dragon, and they'll be taking a significant amount of damage. But it all depends on what monster they're using for the attack, which could literally be anything at this point. We don't know. But still, 2 copies of Dictator D, basically just to help protect your board for the most part. And then for the Blue Eyes Tuner monsters, we are running 2 copies of the White Stone of Ancients, a single copy of the White Stone Legend, and 2 copies of Sage with Eyes of Blue. I know that a lot of people are saying that running 3 Sage is better. Yes, it is true, but the reason why I cut this down to 2 is because I'm running 2 copies of 3 different hand traps, and I needed to make room for those hand traps. So for those who are new to Yu-Gi-Oh and have never heard of these 3 cards before, White Stone of Ancients reads: once per turn during the end phase, if this card is in the grave because it was sent there this turn, you can special summon one Blue Eyes monster from your deck. You can banish this card from your grave, target a Blue Eyes monster in your grave, add it to your hand. So not only is this a way to summon out Blue Eyes from your deck, but if you have Blue Eyes in your graveyard, you can just add it back to your hand simply by banishing White Stone of Ancients. White Stone of Legend is basically the Stratos for the whole deck, because if it's sent to your graveyard, you can add Blue Eyes White Dragon from your deck to your hand, which is really nice. Sage with Eyes of Blue's effect reads, when this card is normal summon, you can add a level 1 Light Tuna from your deck to your hand, except this card. You can discard this card, then target an effect monster you control, send it to the grave, and if you do, special summon 1 Blue Eyes monster from your deck. So, what effect monster would you be sending to the grave for the most part? Dictator of D is probably the most obvious choice. So basically, all 3 of these monsters have effects where it basically gives you access to summon Blue Eyes either from the deck, or basically you get to add it to your hand, which is pretty cool. And then for the hand traps, I am running 2 Ghost Spell, 2 Ash Blossom, and 2 Effect Veiler. The only reason why is because I've got the 2 Ghost Ogre in my side deck, and I didn't have any room to add the 2 Ghost Ogres. So I figured, why not these 3? So as I've said before, Ghost Spell focuses on the graveyard, Ash Blossom focuses on the deck, Ghost Ogre focuses on the board, and then Effect Veiler focuses on some of the more problematic monsters that your opponent may have at their disposal, if you will, which is just broken on its own. And then for the new card that I aforementioned, you guys are wondering, what is that card? It is the Ritual Monster Blue Eyes Chaos Max Dragon. I didn't think it would be this good, because I don't think I ever talked about it on the channel. But if you guys have never heard of this card before, it is a 4-star dark... Sorry, not 4-star. It's an 8-star Dark Dragon Ritual with 4,000 attack and 0 defense, and it says you can ritual summon this card with Chaos Form, which I am running a single copy of in the deck. Must be ritual summon. Your opponent cannot target this card with card effects. Also, it cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effects. If this card battles a defense position monster, it inflicts double piercing battle damage. So basically, if your opponent's monster's defense is 0, basically you just win. You automatically win. Now, the reason why I chose to run Chaos Max over Chaos Dragon is because of their effects. Chaos Dragon's effect reads, your opponent cannot target this card with card effects, and it cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effects. If this card was ritual summoned using Blue Eyes White Dragon, when it declares an attack, you can change the battle position of as many monsters your board controls as possible, and if you do, the attack defense of those changed monsters becomes 0. Also, this turn, if the card attacks a defense position monster, inflict piercing. So which is better, Chaos or Chaos Max? The answer is Chaos Max, because it deals double the damage, where as opposed to Chaos Dragon, it only deals the normal amount. So that's why I chose to run the Max Dragon over the original. But still, Chaos Max Dragon is still a pretty busted ass card. But that's it for the monster lineup. For the spells, we have not as much as I had in the last build, but still a pretty decent amount. So we've got the 2. So for our reborn cards, if you will. So for our reborn cards, we have 2 copies of. Hang on, guys. Something just came up on my laptop for some reason. No, I don't want that. I don't want that. Come on. Thank you. There we go. There we go, finally. Okay, so first up for our reborn spells, we have the 2 Return of the Dragon Lords and a single copy of Monster Reborn. Basically, all three basically both these cards can just summon any monster that you want. But Dragon Lords has a protection effect where if any of your dragons were to be destroyed by battle or card effect, you can just banish Dragon Lords and they're pretty much just protected from there, which is pretty nice. We got the one Fang of Critias because I am obviously running the Timer Burst Dragon, which is hilariously broken. We have the two copies of Trade In, obviously for draw power. Basically, you discard any of your level 8 dragons. You draw 2 cards. The one dragon that you're going to be discarding the most, for the most part, is obviously the Blue Eyes White Dragon or the Galactic Spiral Dragon. So you can get Spiral Dragon's effect, or you can resummon Blue Eyes White Dragon off of the effects of True Light, Dragon Lords, or Reborn, which is pretty nice. We have the 2 Melody of Awakening Dragon. Basically, you discard any of the white stones that you have in your hand. You get to add Blue Eyes and Blue Eyes Alternative to your hand from the deck, which is pretty nice. Not much else to say about that. Just literally, that's all there is to it. Honestly, with Melody, we have 3 copies of Bingo Machine Go. This basically gives you access to pretty much any of your Blue Eyes cards that you may have at your disposal. So what the card does is you get to pick 3 cards from your deck that meets the criteria of a Blue Eyes monster or a spell trap that lists Blue Eyes White Dragon or Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon in its name. Your opponent selects one of them. That one gets added to your hand. The other 2 go back into the deck, shuffled obviously, and you can basically just choose any one of them, and your opponent will have no choice because they know how insanely good the cards are, so they have to take it as a lesser of 3 evils, if you will, which is pretty crazy. We got the one Chaos form, obviously to summon the Chaos Max Dragon. We got the Rank Up Magic Quick Chaos, obviously because I am running the Tachyon Dragon and the Neo Tachyon as well. And then of course to round up the spells, we got the one Ultimate Fusion to summon out the Blue Eyes Alternative Ultimate Dragon because Twin Burst Dragon you don't need poly. Tyrant Dragon, I think Tyrant Dragon and Tyrant Burst Dragon you don't need poly. That's all there is to it. For the traps, we have 7 of them. We have 2 copies of Destined Rivals, which acts as a Dark Ruler no more for the whole deck. Because if you have Blue Eyes or Dark Magician, depending on what deck you're playing, this card can basically just negate all monster effects that your opponent has, and you're able to just combo off from there, which is pretty nuts. We got the one Tyrant Wing to summon out, obviously, the Tyrant Burst Dragon. We got the 2 copies of True Light to not only summon Blue Eyes, but to basically set any spell or trap that has Blue Eyes in its name, which is pretty cool. And it also has the Dark Magician effect, if you will, where if True Light were to be destroyed and sent to the graveyard, all monsters you have on board get destroyed. However, cards. If I'm right on this, I didn't check out the rulings for this. I'll have to check it out at some point. I believe with True Light, monsters such as the Chaos Max Dragon, the Blue Eyes Alternative Ultimate Dragon, and I believe also the Blue Eyes Tyrant Dragon, all cannot be destroyed by the effects of True Light. So essentially, even if True Light were to be destroyed, you would still have your board no matter what, which is pretty nuts. And then of course we got the one Solemn Strike and the one Solemn Warning, which is absolutely insane, to round up the main deck. That is it for the main deck. Moving on into the extra deck, which is even more insane than ever before, because we've got the one Blue Eyes Alternative Ultimate Dragon So if you used, let's say, the two Blue Eyes alternative white dragons and a Blue Eyes white dragon, you get to pop multiple cards on your opponent's board, and it'll essentially just break their board really quickly, which is pretty nice. We got the Blue Eyes Twin Burst Dragon, which has the Cyber Twin, which has the Cyber Twin Dragon effect, where it can attack twice during the battle phase. We got the Blue Eyes Tyrant Dragon. So it's fun. So here's the thing, I'm also running the Tyrant Burst Dragon as well. You guys are wondering, what do these cards do? Tyrant Burst Dragon was released in Dragons of Legend 2, and the effect reads: must be special summoned with the Fang of Critics using Tyrant Wing. This card can attack all your opponent's monsters once each. You can target a face-up monster you control, equip this monster to that target, and it gains 400 attack, and it can make 3 attacks during each battle phase. So if you have Blue Eyes White Dragon on board and Tyrant Burst Dragon on board, you can then activate Tyrant Burst Dragon's effect, equip Burst Dragon to the Blue Eyes White Dragon, go into your battle phase, attack 3 of your opponent's monsters, go into your main phase 2, tribute the White Dragon and the Burst Dragon, summon out Blue Eyes Tyrant Dragon, and you're off to the races there, which is absolutely nuts. It also allows you to set pretty much any trap you have at your disposal back onto your board. So let's say for example you went into game 2 and you decided to cut out, let's say the 2 Sage, and I'll say a trade-in and a Melody. Let's say that, and you decided to board in, the 2 copies of Imperm, and then the second Warning and the second Strike, which I'm running, all I'm running in the side. That gives you what? 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. That gives you 11 traps. You could set to your board. So it basically gives you access to a myriad of negations. It is absolutely insane. Pretty nuts. For the Synchro monsters, I am running a single copy of Azurai Silver Dragon, which has a Monster Reborn effect for Blue Eyes White Dragon. We got the Blue Eyes Spirit Dragon, in which if you tribute this card, you can basically summon out pretty much any light dragon synchro that you may have at your disposal. In which the only 2 that you have are obviously the Azurai Silver Dragon and the Black Rose Moonlight Dragon, which is pretty nice. Moonlight Dragon is mainly in here for the Drytron plays, and also for the for other decks that basically give you a level 5 or higher monster on board, which this card can just pop it really easily, and then just compulse it back to the hand, which is pretty nice. We got the 1 Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon. So with this, here's the deal. Because that I am running the white stones, the sages, and of course the effect Veiler. If your opponent were to activate a card where monster effects in the hand cannot be triggered, you would have no choice but to normal summon the effect Veiler, and then just tune it with the Moonlight Dragon, summon out the Crystal Wing, and you're off to the races there, which is pretty insane. But Crystal Wing is Stardust Dragon on steroids. That's all there is to it. It's absolutely nuts. And then we are running a new addition to the deck, and I didn't realize how broken this was until I saw it. I was running this in my Earthbound Immortal deck a long time ago. Right when I first built that deck, anyway, and I didn't realize, but the card is actually pretty nuts. It is Draco Berserker of the Tenny. So, if you guys have never seen this card before, the effect reads, when your opponent activates a monster effect as a quick effect, you can banish it. Yeah, pretty much any monster gets banished, and your opponent has, if your opponent doesn't have a way to bring that monster back, it's stuck there. It's stuck there for good, plain and simple. If this attacking card destroys an effect monster by battle and sends it to the graveyard, this card gains attack equal to destroy monster's original attack. Also, it can make a second attack on a monster during each battle phase. So just like the Blue Eyes Twin Burst Dragon, Draco also has the Cyber Twin Dragon effect, which is pretty nice, but it also has a built-in negation for your opponent's monsters, in which case it becomes a not a Dark Law, but a Macrocosmos for the deck, which is pretty nice. And then, of course, too, as I mentioned, we got the Black Rose Moonlight Dragon as well. Already talked about it. We all know what the card does. It is absolutely insane. And then for the Xyz monsters, we got the... I am actually going to go backwards with the Xyz monsters because they... Apparently Nexus decided to do this by level and rank, how high they are. So for the Xyz monsters, we got the number 107, which is basically a disruption on board, which is really nice. We got the number 38 Hope Harbinger Dragon Titanic Galaxy. Basically, this gives you even more materials to go into Zeus, which I am running in the side deck, which is pretty nice. We got the Cypher Dragon, which acts as a which works as a brain control, but you're not really using Cypher for that. You're mainly using Cypher to go into full armor Photon Dragon, and then going into the Cypher Blade Dragon, and then you basically have what? 2, 4. You basically have 4 pops right there, which is pretty nice. And then, of course, too, we got the Chaos number 107 Neo Galaxy Eyes Tachyon Dragon, which is pretty nice. Obviously, with full armor, it pops face-up cards your opponent controls. Cypher Blade Dragon just pops pretty much any card which is really nice. But what's also cool about Cypher Blade is that when it's destroyed by battle or by card effect, you can summon Cypher Dragon from your graveyard, which is really nice. Moving on into the side deck. The side deck is a little bit better than the last one. So for the side deck, we have the 2 copies of Darla the Mystery Dust Kaiju. This is only in here for the Floowandereeze deck. So if you bring this deck to like a YCS or whatever, and you're playing against Floowandereeze, this card can out your opponent's barrier statue of the Stormwind, and it basically just gives you access to just combo up from there. So funny thing is that if you kaiju your opponent's barrier statue, and it's the only card that they summoned, you can activate Gadara's effect, pitch the barrier statue, summon it, activate Solemn Strike. Here's the thing: activate Solemn Strike, pay the 1500, destroy your own kaiju, and you just combo off from there. Get your board out, boom, attack for game. Plain simple. Not much else to say about that. Next up, we have the 2 copies of Ghost Ogre, obviously to pair off with the other hand traps that I'm running in the main. We have a second Chaos Max Dragon, just in case if you need extra damage on board, which for the most part you really don't, but if you do, you have a second in the side. We got the Zeus, obviously, for the Titanic Galaxy. We got the Harpy's Feather Duster for back row removal. We have 2 copies of Dark Ruler No More, just in case if the Destined Rivals doesn't work out that well. This card can also come in clutch as well. The only downside with this card is that your opponent does not take any damage whatsoever, which is sad, but still it's pretty good. We have the second Chaos form, which obviously is for the Chaos Max Dragon. We got the one called by because obviously you want your plays to go through, and then for the traps we got the 2 Imperm, the second Strike, and the second Warning. So all in all, this deck is absolutely nuts, absolutely broken, a lot better than the last build. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this deck profile. If you guys did, and you guys want to see more deck profiles in the future, make sure you guys smash that thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel, turn on the notification bell, and follow me on all my social media. Links will be in the description, as will the info to my fan mail. It will also be in the description as well. And on that, this is your boy Nash, signing out.